Tensions with China have been high since February when the U.S. shot down a suspected Chinese surveillance balloon. This weekend, China rejected a U.S. request for a meeting between the two countries' defense chiefs. With us to discuss these developments is the former Naval intelligence officer Don Bramer. He worked in the George H.W. Bush administration and now is the chairman of the Bramer Group. Don, thanks for being with us. I'm wondering, when you look at that video of what happened up there in the skies, what do you think? And really, how bad is the relationship right now, or how tense are things right now between the U.S. and China?
Well, good evening, Blake. I think the tensions between the U.S. and China are increasing on a daily basis. China continues to snub its nose at the United States, showing that they are moving at a faster rate, that they have a complete disregard for the United States, and more importantly, at this administration. Intellectually, they are stealing all of our property. Their manufacturing base is increasing at ours at 2 to 10-fold. Their shipbuilding has increased. They are playing the long game, and I think this administration, this government, needs to wake up and realize that our defense priorities are in the wrong place right now, and that it should be back in our men and women uniform and back in our industrial base.
Hey, Don, it's Lauren Wright here. Just help us put this in historical context, because when we think about the Cold War, when we think about the Cuban Missile Crisis, most of the outcomes historians think, are due to the fact that we had risk-averse actors. And considering China's recent behavior, can it still be considered a risk-averse actor, or should we start thinking about China differently?
Well, you're very right to bring up history, because there's a lot of similarities between what we saw in the early 1970s with President Nixon and what we see now. I think that China is not just a bad actor right now. They're testing the limits of the United States. They've seen our playbook and how we've handled the situation supporting Ukraine against Russia, and they're using that as a tool. They're studying us just like we're studying them. However, what we're doing right now with the debt limit and the debt ceiling talks is a clear example of where they think we are. And as General Milley said just earlier this month, they see us as a large declining power.
Niall?
I think that sometimes people listening to these kinds of discussions, they hear us discussing, the geopolitics, how the tectonic plates are moving in a really big way. But to break this down for everyday Americans, you mentioned things like shipbuilding or stealing intellectual property. What should normal Americans be most worried about in this rise of China?
Well, now, I think right now what Americans need to concern themselves about is, where are we focusing our own resources at? Where are we supporting our factories, our allies, our infrastructure, so that we're not reliant on China, we're not relying on allies of China, that should we see another situation like we did early days of COVID, where we have a supply chain that can support the United States and not leave us high and dry where we're relying on so many other powers.
Hey, Don, Sean Spicer. Look, you saw that video, how provocative China's military continues to be. And yet the president, when he makes his comments there at the Air Force Academy, talks about engaging and talks about climate change. Obviously, that's important to the administration, but do they have their priorities backwards in terms of what they really should be focused on, i.e. how provocative their military has become and what a threat that they pose to us in the South China Sea and throughout the world?
Well, Sean, it's funny you bring that up, because I've repeatedly said that this administration has its priorities in the wrong places, especially when we look at our defense. Adding extra weeks to boot camp just for diversity training, focusing on social programs, focusing on drag shows, when we should be teaching our men and women how to be warriors, how to fight, and how to be prepared for war, not who they're going to offend. I have a young man that is in Chicago right now who is at Great Lakes, and I've gotten letters back at just how utterly ridiculous it's become in the last few weeks, or in this administration, with all this new training that they're going through. So it's the wrong focus.
All right, Don Bramer joining us, breaking down the U.S.-China relationship. Don, thank you, sir. Appreciate it.
Thank you for watching. Go to newsnationnow.com to find News Nation on your television provider. And don't forget to click the red subscribe button below to get more of News Nation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.